we're gonna get into why you need to fix your bunny. What are the pros, the cons, more information about it. If you've seen our adoption video already, you know that our bunny is neutered. Before we got a rabbit, we did a ton of research about it, and I knew I wanted my bunny fixed, whether it was a baby rabbit that we got and then had to go through the whole process ourselves, or if we got a rescue who was already fixed. I knew that we wanted that done. And then going through the rescue, it made it so easy that it was a no-brainer. So all this information, I went through it before we got a rabbit, and then I'm just going to pass on the information to you. I mentioned the pros and the cons. There are so many pros. I'm going to go through them with you, and very, very few cons. First pro is that your bunny is going to live longer and healthier if he is fixed, because female rabbits have a very high risk of uterine cancer if they're not fixed. They also have a high risk of urinary tract infections. So all that is taken care of with a fixed rabbit. The second pro is that you're going to have a calmer, more affectionate rabbit. You're also going to get rid of any destructive behavior. It's also easier to litter train them because they don't have that need to mark their territory. It's also going to, like I said, they're not going to want to mark their territory. It's going to lessen them spraying you as claiming you as their territory or their property. Also, it's easier to bond a fixed rabbit because they're not going to be trying to dominate the other one. They're not going to be trying to assert their dominance on your house or their things. And you're not going to have to worry about having babies with whatever rabbit you decide to bond them with. Which leads me to our third very good reason, our very good pro. You're not going to be having to worry about having babies. A lot of times, breeders or pet shops will get the sex of a young rabbit wrong. And because of that, you try to pair them with another one, thinking these are two sisters, these are two brothers, but instead, you're going to have accidental babies. It's really, really common to have. And there's a huge overpopulation of rabbits. Rabbits are the third most surrendered animal, third to dogs and cats, because there's so many of them. And not even surrendered, there's so many that are dumped, left to just kind of fend for themselves, which they can't do because they're domesticated. So it's very important to have them fixed just so that you don't have to deal with overpopulation or add to that problem. Now that you know all the pros for fixing them, we talk about when you should fix them. Males can be fixed between 3 to 5 months is the good goal to go for. Females, it's between 4 to 6 months. Too young, and they can have a really high risk of complications during surgery. Too old, same thing, very high risk of surgery. A lot of people have questions about how to go about fixing their rabbit. They've decided to, but they're not sure what to go through, what procedures they need to go through, who they need to see. So you need to find a rabbit savvy vet. Not any vet can go through a complicated surgery with a rabbit. Rabbits are actually considered an exotic animal. So a regular veterinarian is not going to know how to treat your rabbit. To find a rabbit savvy vet, you can ask your local rabbit rescue. They have really good resources on finding rabbit savvy vets, ones that they've worked with. House Rabbit Society has a list of recommendations throughout different states on who they recommend, who they've worked with. That is a really good rabbit savvy vet. Also, you can just go through a rescue and adopt from them, and like we did, they're already neutered or spayed. They're already litter box trained, and we found that worked best for us. Also, if you adopt through a rescue, it's going to cost less money. One of the cons of spaying or neutering your rabbit is that it can be very costly because it's an exotic animal. Your spays are going to be more expensive than your neuters because it's a more invasive procedure. So if you go through a rescue, they're going to tell you which vets that they recommend, which ones are a little less expensive than others. But also if you adopt through them, you don't have to pay for it because the rescue has worked out a agreement with the veterinarian already. So that's just part of your adoption fee. As far as post-op, males do much better than females. Usually they just come home and they're ready to eat. Females are a little more fickle because it has been a very invasive surgery. So they may come home and just want to be left alone. You may have to entice them to eat with their treats, but you have to keep an eye on females a lot more than males. You have to make sure that they don't get GI stasis once they come home, and your vet will tell you more about it. But usually they'll have some anti-inflammatory medicine that you need to give them, and then always have critical care on hand in case they start going into stasis. You're able to give them that critical care and also contact your veterinarian. And like I said earlier, I haven't had to go through this myself. This was just all research that I did before we got our rabbit that I wanted to pass on to other people because there are so many people that have questions about fixing their rabbit. But all of my information that I've gotten is from the House Rabbit Society website, which I'm going to include a link to the article in the description for you to read more about it. And they also have several videos on their website that explain more about it. They go into really good detail. So if you haven't gotten a rabbit yet, you're just kind of doing research before you do it, and that sounds like a whole lot of work to you, that's exactly why we went through a rescue. Because our Dipper was already litter box trained, he was already neutered, and he had recovered, he was fine. It was like a month afterward, and he was already used to people being around him. You know, he wasn't a little crazy bunny that was freaking out because he was newborn and didn't know the world. He was kind of matured. He's still a little bit of a baby, but kind of matured. And that's why we didn't get a tiny little rabbit that is so tempting to get from a feed store. So if you haven't gotten a rabbit yet, you're really excited to get one, but that sounds like too much work for you, consider going through your rabbit rescue. Look up House Rabbit Society online, find a chapter near you, and just visit them. Call them, ask them how to do it, and look at that option. Back to you, Jacob. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure that you have the notification bell hit so that you can see whenever our next video comes out. It's going to be on our 3 hamsters, and we're going to do a cage cleaning so you can see exactly how we go through with that with them on a regular basis.